Hello students. So welcome to our channel IASPrimers. So we are starting with the series of current affairs MCQ monthly. So this is for revision. So I have compiled for July 2022. We have 40 questions. I have compiled a bit more actually, but I could not cover it. So that I will do it in the next month of current affairs, right? So July, after July, we have August. Okay. So what I've tried to do over here is we will cover the question, we will do the answer, that is the standard protocol. But besides this, a question has multiple facets, multiple ways of looking at it. You know, a question could have been asked in multiple ways. So we have a lot of cues from there. I've tried to build this. So there are 40 questions, but in actually, we are doing about 40 into 1.5 or 40 into 2 questions. Right. So we have material for at least 80 odd questions over here. So this video will really help you with that. Okay. Now, before going ahead, one very small message, one very good tip that I learned from one of my students. So what she used to do was, she was, a mother, had to look after the child, had a job also. So she learned from there, a very good trick of time management. So, and I want you to do the same. So I want you to maintain a copy. I want you to keep a register or whatever, keep it with you and jot down the name of the topic that we are doing, just the title, so that tomorrow you want to revise the test, right? If you normally if you revise the test, it takes a lot of time. So you have to cover a lot of pages. But what I'm telling you is just write the name of the topic. For example, the first question is on, that's not the best example, like keep it on campaign, or let's say, yes, this drug itself. So just write this. So from here, like if you have, okay, fine, this drug is associated with which of the following, you have written only this over here, but obviously questions arises like it's associated with this was that news for this purpose. Likewise, the keep it on campaign, just write hashtag keep it on. So what is it for? It was launched by which agency? So those questions should trigger in your mind. So that is the idea. Likewise, financial stability report. So that's how you can prepare. Just jot down the name of the topic you feel it's important, because otherwise it's very difficult to recall. And this is a very time-saving trick. You just have to go through a piece of paper, that's all. And quickly, you can, okay, fine, this is associated with this is mentally, you can do that. Or if you don't know, you can always Google that. It will save you a lot of time. Because initial attempts, I used to do that Vision IS, current affairs, and all the test series and so many things. There's a lot of content I had to manage. It was very difficult. But once I learned this, it was very easy. So do this. It will really, really help you. And yes, I will still share on the Telegram also the PDF. So that will also help. Right. So see you with the journey of this 40 questions, and all the best again. So yeah, so let's continue with it. Now let's come to the first question. So this is the name of a drug actually, clofazimine, recently seen in the news, is related to which of the following diseases? So this was there in the news in July 2022. It is still there. 1 month back, it was still there. Okay, so 4 diseases are mentioned. So it was in the news that this drug can be used for the treatment of tuberculosis. Right, so tuberculosis, it can be used for that. It is the drug for the drug-resistant tuberculosis treatment. There is no tuberculosis mentioned over here. So this drug is actually used for leprosy. Clofazimine, long used in treatment of leprosy, is one such repurposed drug that has become a cornerstone for DRTB treatment, drug-resistant TB treatment. Simple. So it is normally used for leprosy. It is associated with this disease, but then doctors are looking at tuberculosis also. Now we should know more about leprosy. So we should have basic idea about it. I think we have some, you must have already heard about this. So main thing that you should know is basic details, like it is also known as the Hansen's disease. It is an infection caused by Mycobacterium leprae or Mycobacterium lepromatosis. What does this mean? It means that this is not a viral, it is not caused by a virus, but it is caused by a bacteria. Such questions are easily asked in the pre-exam. Okay, so this is a long-term infection caused by the bacteria whose name is Mycobacterium. In the name itself, there is bacteria. And this affects the following: dry scalp, eye problems. It affects the neural system, lack of ability to feel pain, all that. Okay, so this is leprosy. You have a lot of information. Please, I think this is sufficient. Okay. Next, recently seen in news, the Keep It On campaign. Consider the following statements. So we have two statements about the Keep It On campaign. Okay, so now we have to go through the statements. This campaign is launched by the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. Fine, we don't know. Second, it is responsible for coordinating responses to environmental issues within the United Nations system. Okay, it is responsible for coordinating responses. Does this make sense? Keep It On campaign for coordinating responses? No, this is basically work of an agency. In fact, if you Google, it will be United Nations Environment Program. Fine. So this statement is definitely wrong. And statement 1 is also wrong. So we have to know this also. Okay. Now how do we remember this? Keep it on. What do we keep it on? So keep it on. Keep on the internet. You know, in various places, the internet is shut down. Especially in the wake of public safety and security, the governments switch off the internet. Right? The internet can be misused also. Kashmir, it has taken place. In fact, that is the reason why it was there. Okay. So there are these coalition of organizations. That means it is not the no UN sector, nothing. It is a coalition of organizations. Basically, not-for-profit organizations, activist organizations. So they have started this. Organizations such as Access Now, Afro Leadership, Americans for Democracy, all these organizations. In fact, it was actually an initiative of Access Now. If you read elsewhere, Access Now, but if it says coalition of organizations, that means these many organizations were there. But the important point is it is not started by the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. And we don't really expect hashtag kind of things from them. Okay. And another hint is keep it on. What do you keep it on? Keep on the internet. Again, this cannot be with reference to environment also. Okay. So answer is very clear, I think. 1 is also wrong. 2 is also wrong. So answer is D. And here I marked, right? Question number 1 is done. Question number 3. Similar question was asked in the prelims, I think 2014. So which organization releases the Financial Stability Report? So very easy. It is released by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, naturally, these organizations, OECD, World Bank, United Nations, they also release their own reports. And I always say, please go through those reports because it can be easily asked in the pre-paper. But FSR has actually already been asked. So obviously, Financial Stability Report. What will this report tell us about? It will obviously tell us about financial risks, concerns, all that. Again, rbi.org.in. Now, when I was going through this, I came across the Financial Stability Board. Now, what is this Financial Stability Board? Because you can always work on things and add extra content, add extra layer to our preparation. So, Financial Stability Board is an international body that monitors and makes recommendations about the global financial system. It was established after the G20 London Summit. Right, so this is international organization associated with global financial system. The name Financial Stability Board automatically indicates that. Okay, Where is it located? Basel in Switzerland. In fact, with banking norms, banking regulation, there are this Basel norms. That is also there, and this is also asked in the pre-paper. Okay, now we should know more about this, right? So it is the Financial Stability Board is established as a not-for-profit association under Swiss law, and here it says, unlike most multilateral institutions, in fact, like most multilateral organization, FSB lacks a legal form and any formal power. It is only giving recommendations that you have to do this. The respective countries have to follow certain norms so that the global financial system is intact. Right? Any country does badly, like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, it affects the entire global financial system. So I don't agree with this viewpoint actually, but yes, it is. It lacks a legal form and any formal power. It is a recommendatory body. Most international organizations do not have a legal power backing. They cannot enforce also. Okay, next question. Who releases the World Drug Report? Who releases? And it is not World Health Organization. In fact, this is very simple because if you look at the 4 options, the second option is United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And this is the correct option. In fact, you can see this also over here. The World Drug Report 2022, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. They have released the World Drug Report 2022. Okay, so this was about the pre. Now, I would like to add more on this thing from mains point of view. We can, we have a drug problem. Drug issue is there. Drugs are associated with the internal security also. And we will need facts for our answer writing, for improving our answer writing. So there, we can mention like, where is India ranked on the problem of drug report, on the issue of drugs? How severe that problem is. So we can quote these reports. So that way it will be very, very helpful. Okay, next question. With reference to small savings instruments, consider the following statements. First of all, before I don't want to go into the statements, I just want to mention some of the schemes. Small savings instruments, some of the schemes, what is this, and then I'll come to the options. It will be very simple, very easy. So this is from Byju's. What are the small savings instruments? Okay. So you must have heard about these schemes. So these are issued by the government. So Public Provident Fund Account, Sukanya Samriddhi Scheme, Senior Citizen Savings Scheme, Post Office Savings Account, right? So National Savings Certificates, all these issued by the central government. Okay, so these are known as small savings instrument. Why are we calling it small? Because each retail investors, people like us, they invest over here. Okay, and why will people invest? There will obviously be better incentives. People can simply park their money in fixed deposits in the banks, right? Why will people go for small savings instruments? That is the question. So the thing is that the government will be offering more than what is available in the market. And now let's look at the statements. These are managed by the central government. Actually, Department of Economic Affairs. They decide what interest rate has to be followed, what tax benefits are to be given, all that. Okay. They provide returns that are generally higher than the bank fixed deposits. Yes, but 1% or something. So it's normally higher than that. You're investing with the government needs long-term capital. And they say, okay, fine, we will give you incentive on taxes. Read the incentives given in the Sukanya Samriddhi or National Savings Certificate. So there are some benefits that you get. Otherwise, I'll tell you, if you park your money in a fixed deposit, So the interest that you earn, the income that you earn out of that, that will be taxed according to the tax slab in which you are. So 20% slab, 30% slab, that much return. But here there is lot of incentive on the interest. But here long-term investments have to be there. Okay. These are linked to yields on benchmark government bonds. Logical. Right? There's some benchmark has to be followed. So the answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So the answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4. In fact, 1, 2, 3 definitely right, and that is not an option. So left with 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It is logical to have some benchmark. Okay. Next question. Consider the following statements. It's very controversial actually. I'll tell you why. So first statement is about a glacier, Fedchenko Glacier, which is located in Tajikistan. This is right. Is world's largest glacier found outside the polar regions. Tajikistan. So Tajikistan, you can see point number 11. So here. So this is the world's largest glacier. You know the way from where I've taken these questions, this is marked as correct. But on more research, what I found is that it is the world's longest glacier, about 77 kilometers, outside the polar regions. Obviously, poles, Antarctic and the Arctic, there will be bigger glaciers over there, no doubt about that. But this is the world's longest glacier. Fine. Okay, so there are two ways of defining the glacier. One is largest, that is what is the area of that glacier, and other is longest. Right, so longest is like the length and largest means the area. So this is definitely world's longest. While when I was researching on the largest glacier outside of the polar region, I could not find it. I could find many names actually. So one is GK Today, which says Siachen Glacier. This was only here, it says it is the world's largest non-polar glacier. Otherwise, it definitely is the world's highest battlefield. Right? It's a contested this thing between India and Pakistan, and also now China. Okay. Then you can see over here this the net screenshot. What are the world's largest glaciers outside the polar region? So here it mentions Malaspina Seward Glacier in Alaska. Makes sense, right? Alaska region. Okay, so about 3,000 kilometers square. Then this was on the laptop that I did, and mobile research got me this. Southern Patagonia ice field, so in South America. It is mentioned as the largest glacier outside of polar. So one thing is very clear. Fedchenko Glacier is not the largest glacier. It is the longest glacier. But suppose a similar question is asked with similar statement, it will be highly, if it's asked in UPSC, there will be a lot of disputes on the web forums. This is correct. Farkhor Air Base in Tajikistan is operated by the Indian Air Force in collaboration with the Tajik Air Force. This is I think the only place where we have Air Force, outside of India. It's in collaboration with the Tajik Air Force. Okay, if you can see other areas where we have interest. So these are marked over here. I think you can take the screenshot and I think that will be sufficient. Okay, next question. Consider the following statements regarding multi-agency maritime security group. We can make it simpler. Multi-agency maritime security group. Multi-agency. Now this will be easier. If you just break this up, multi-agency, that will make it very, very easy. So if it talks about multi-agency in maritime domain, like we know in Indian context, we have police, marine police of respective states. Then we have the Coast Guard. Then we have the Indian Navy. So there are multiple agencies. Fine. So it has to be something within the country. So multi-agencies of the country, and that makes it very easy. Now to read the questions, read the statements. It is created to give effect to the Colombo Security Conclave. Why? Why an international this thing when it is about multiple agencies? And multiple agencies have to be within the country itself. So Colombo Security Conclave is out. But definitely we need to read more on this. It can be asked. Next, third one. One is out. So third one now. Role of NMSC is to ensure cohesion amongst stakeholders like Indian Navy, Coast Guard, etc. It is saying etc. because of multiple agencies. So 3 is definitely correct. And we don't have 2 and 3, so 3 is done. Now let's read the statement number 2. NSA is the de facto National Maritime Security Coordinator. Obviously, this is wrong. So who is the this thing? And this is the reason why this question was there in this topic was there in the news. So multi-agency maritime security group formed in November 2021. It is to do with different maritime security agencies and ministries of the country. Fine. So recently, Vice Admiral retired G. Ashok Kumar was appointed as India's first coordinator of MASG. I think that's simple. So first coordinator of MASG. I think so it cannot be the National Security Advisor when we have this thing, right? So it is his responsibility to coordinate. He is also known as the National Maritime Security Coordinator, NMSC. So NSA, we know that it is Mr. Ajit Doval. Simple, right? So and Mr. Ajit Doval is not the coordinator of MASG. Simple. It is Mr. G. Ashok Kumar. So NSC is not the de facto coordinator. Okay, now what is the roles and responsibilities of NMSC? Responsibility of coordinating between all the agencies. Fine. That's why the organization is there. He will be the principal advisor to the government on maritime security domain. Right. So somebody who was with the Navy, that person is appointed. Now, what is Colombo Security Conclave? Definitely, it has to be something to do with the Indian Ocean region, right? Colombo, Sri Lanka, Maldives, south of 8-degree channel. Fine. So, Colombo Security Conclave. So, it is about the Indian Ocean region. In fact, this was formed in 2011 as a trilateral maritime security. So, trilateral, obviously, India and Sri Lanka is there. Then which other country? Maldives. Okay. Then Mauritius became the 4th member. So now we have 4 members. Then Bangladesh and Seychelles. So Bangladesh over here and Seychelles towards the African side attended as observers. So they are also interested and have been invited to join the group. What does it do? Maritime safety in the Indian Ocean region. Now it's not just about this, but it is also Bangladesh, so this region and west side of the Indian Ocean region, Arabian Sea, that part. Okay. So yeah, what will it do? So it will deal with the maritime issues, maritime safety and security, countering terrorism, and then they have expanded the domain. So countering terrorism and radicalization. In fact, you can always look at Bombay terror attacks that had taken place. So it was via the sea and sea maritime safety, maritime domain, combating trafficking and transnational organized crime, drugs trade and all those taking place on the maritime domain. Then cyber security, protection of critical infrastructure technology, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Something happens in a country, obviously it will be India's responsibility at that point of time. India takes the lead in such cases. Fine. Next question, question number 8. With reference to the UN Habitat. Again, very important for your mains also, right? Yeah. Particularly GS3. Okay. With reference to the UN habitat, consider the following statements. UN habitat promotes urbanization to reduce inequality. It's correct. And its new urban agenda, something more, we'll read more about this, is related to sustainable development goal. Obviously, SDG, sustainable development goals, as so, it's a very, very wide ambit. So urbanization would be in that as well. So 1 and 2 is correct. So C is the answer. Now let me explain more. See, urbanization is not just about cities, having buildings, roads, planned townships and all that. It's not just about that. Urbanization should also result in improving in the quality of life. There are inequalities, there is poverty that should be addressed. In fact, a better way of putting it is UN Habitat focuses on obviously urbanization, but based on the principles of sustainability plus inclusivity. It's always good to use these terms even while mains answer writing actually. Sustainability and inclusivity. So obviously this is dealing with both, if you are dealing with inclusivity, inequality and all that. And second is obviously correct. So UN Habitat promotes urbanization as a positive transformative force for people and communities, reducing inequality, discrimination and poverty. So urbanization is taking place, but it should take place in such a way that inequality, discrimination, poverty, etc. is addressed. Right? I'll give you one example. Slums. Right? So the issue of slums have to be resolved. What about safety and security? So that is again, so urbanization is there, but safety and security and other things should also be taken care of. People should have, urbanization is taking place and then certain areas does not have access to drinking water, let's say, proper shelters, that has to be done. So keeping in mind the interest of other people. Okay. UN Habitat releases the World Cities Report. So that's why it was asked actually. So yeah, again, I told you this can be helpful for your mains preparation. Urbanization is a very important theme. So we can focus on this. You can quote World Cities Report in your answer writing. Now coming to the urban agenda. The new urban agenda. This is the website screenshot. And just on this over here, 11, goal number 11 of the Sustainable Development Goals. It says sustainable cities and communities. So obviously SDG had to be there, but which goal number? So goal number 17. And the new urban agenda also has the urban agenda platform, which is to do with sharing of what people have done, progress, etc. on a common platform, so that different stakeholders can work together. Okay, 9th question. Recently seen in the news, the Akula class nuclear attack submarine has been imported from which country? Right, obviously it doesn't matter, right? Okay, so it's associated with which country? So mainly submarines are coming from France and Russia. Mainly France and Russia. But the submarines that are coming from France are actually under the Scorpion class submarine. And these are diesel electric submarine. Understand? Diesel electric. So they are working on diesel electric. And they have one more thing known as air independent propulsion. So they do not need the air. So you can imagine any car that is working on fuel, petrol, diesel, whatever. It needs air, oxygen. Fuel burns with oxygen and that exhaust pollution comes out. But in a submarine which is immersed inside the water, if you have to operate the diesel engine, right? So if fumes are coming off, and first of all, if that happens, actually it will give away. It will tell, okay, fine, enemy that the submarine is located over there. So it will lose the stealth feature. So therefore, air independent propulsion. So this is having the stealth feature. That is, nobody knows where you are and all those things. Difficult to detect. Nuclear submarines have that benefit because nuclear doesn't really throw out things. So it's actually Russia, right? Scorpion is France, so the next logical option is Russia. So Russia is Akula class, and Akula class is nuclear attack submarine. So this is also something, this is also something way UPSC can ask. So it's Akula is a nuclear attack submarine. It's a nuclear powered submarine actually. So nuclear powered attack submarines. Now, why do you think I gave emphasis to this term powered? So one could be nuclear attack submarine. So submarine has nuclear weapons. So that can be nuclear attack submarines. But nuclear power, that means it is working on nuclear fuel. That is important. It's a Soviet class submarine, NATO reporting name Akula. This is the Scorpion class submarine. And yeah, I've already told you air independent propulsion. It is diesel electric. Right, so we are also importing from there. In fact, the several generations have already come. Why don't you do one thing? Read more Indian Scorpion class submarines. So what are the Indian names for these submarines? Let's do that. Coming to the 10th question, with reference to autonomous flying wing technology demonstrator, consider the following statement. Autonomous flying wing technology demonstrator, can't we just say it? These are drones. Simple. Okay. Obviously not human beings are not sitting, so drones. Okay. Next, now let's look at the statements. It is designed and developed by the Ministry of Science and Technology. So we have an agency for this, right? DRDO. So DRDO will do that work. Why will MOST will do that work? One is wrong. Option is, answer is B, 2 and 3. So it is powered by a small turbofan engine, right? It cannot be large turbofan engine, otherwise people will detect it. So small turbofan engine. It has potential to deliver high fuel efficiency and stealth. Obviously, it has to be, otherwise low fuel efficiency is not desirable. The army will not give the orders. So these are logical, this thing. 2 and 3 is logical. We can apply ourselves and get the answer. So you can see this. These are the photos. This is the autonomous flying wing technology, this demonstrator. Right? So this is basically a drone. Simple. So Rajnath Singh congratulates DRDO. Where is it written? Yeah, DRDO India. Okay, now read more about this. It is said to be the precursor to the future combat drones. We are trying to import these from US and all. So they are not giving us for the combat purposes with the missile system and all. So this will be of great help. We explained development of stealth, unmanned combat air vehicles for the armed forces. High fuel efficiency is there. It has small turbofan engine, and turbofan means it is air breathing. Obviously, all fighter planes, everything has air breathing. They suck air from the atmosphere. Rockets do not have. Rockets have separate cylinder for oxygen and fuel. Now that is an exception. Otherwise, most of it is air breathing only. And turbofan means you're putting air. Okay, so this was the question number 10th. Now coming to the 21st question. With reference to Chen Kurinji, sometimes mentioned in the news, consider the following statements. It is a banana species. It grows in some Himalayan forest areas. So Himalaya. It is reported to have medicinal properties and is used to lower blood pressure and treat arthritis. Such kind of statements are normally correct. Fine, so that is normally correct. But we have to know if it is banana species and where it is located. Okay, so let's go to the solution itself. So Chen Kurinji, so it is Gluta Travancore corica. So again, Travancore, so Kerala, South Travancore. Okay, you can look at the image over here. First of all, I should have started with this. So you can see the image, and this nowhere resembles the banana tree. It nowhere resembles the banana tree over here. Okay, and it is also Travancore, so it is also not Himalayas, of course. So this cannot be Himalaya. So we can rule out the Himalaya angle as well. Okay, and it is not looking like a banana tree. These two statements are wrong. Statement number 3 is correct. It was mentioned in the Hindu newspaper actually, and this statement is absolutely correct. It is according to forest officials. It is reported to have medicinal properties and all this. Okay, so 3 is the answer. And this Chen Kurinji is found in Agasthyamala Biosphere Reserve. Again, this Biosphere Reserve is particularly important. This was recently introduced, not so recent, it's fairly recent, right? So fairly recent, we should read more about it, very important. Okay, more about this I'm not good with the pronunciation. This family tree was once abundant in the hills on the southern parts of Aryan Kavu Pass. So we can also infer that Aryan Kavu Pass is associated with this biosphere reserve. Okay, but its presence has been rapidly declining. Fine, so this was there. This is obviously Drishti IAS. You can see this. It was there in the Hindu newspaper. So from there it is taken. Question number 22. With reference to Mangad Hillock. Hillock means small hill. Okay. Consider the following statements. It is situated at the Assam-Meghalaya border. It is a site of tribal uprising where a massacre of 1500 Bhil tribal freedom fighters took place in 1945. Okay. If we are following the newspaper, this is correct. This site of Mangad Hillock, is proposed to given the status of monuments of national importance, according to the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act. Okay. So if that happens, the central government is authorized to maintain, protect, and promote these monuments. So again, this is one angle. This is another angle for a pre-based question. If a question is asked about monuments of national importance, so this is the literature for the same. Now coming to the Mangad Hillock, this statement is correct. So the background. So the hillock, a small hill, situated at Gujarat-Rajasthan border, right? So it is a site of tribal uprising with a massacre of 1500 Bhil tribal freedom fighters. Okay, Bhil. I think in modern history also, you must have read about tribal uprising and all. So Bhils are not associated with the Assam-Meghalaya region. Bhils are more into the central part of India. Right? So there are two basically, central or pure Bhils and eastern or Rajput Bhils, according to the census. Okay. The place Mangad Hillock, this place over here, is known as Adivasi Jallianwala, because obviously massacre has taken place, and Jallianwala massacre. Okay, Adivasi Jallianwala, and there has been a demand to build a memorial. This unfortunate incident took place on 17th November 1913, when British forces opened fire on tribal gathered at the site, obviously resembling Jallianwala incident, although this happened a bit earlier than the Jallianwala incident. Okay, so they were gathered at a site holding a meeting in protest, led by the leader from the community, Govind Guru. So Govind Guru is the leader associated with this. So again, this is an important piece of information. More on the Bhils. So Bhils are commonly referred to as Rajasthan's bowmen, right? Bowmen. So Bhil actually means bowmen only. So the term Bhil is derived from the word Villu or Billu, which is known as bow in the Dravidian language. The name Bhil is also mentioned in the ancient epics of Mahabharata and Ramayana. So you see how much information we have derived from just one question over here. So if a question is asked on this topic, Mangad Hillock, that is there. If a question is, monuments of national importance, this is one line of question. If more details are asked about this incident, we are prepared for this. And also about the bills. Now coming to question number 23. Derecho, recently seen in the news, is related to which of the followings? Okay, derecho. No, it's derecho or derecho anyways. So yeah, so 4 terms are given: frog species of the tropics, windstorm, supersonic missile, and mountain peak. So I don't think your guesswork will work, right? You have to know about it. So derechos in North America, so they are in North America, it's a windstorm, right? You can see the way the map is shown over here, and it reads as derecho climatology. So it's a windstorm. I think we should conclude over here. Okay. Reading more about this. So this is a windstorm which takes place in North America. Map of North America is seen. And it forms predominantly from April to August. And we are doing July 2022 current affairs. So peaking in the frequency from May into July. Fine. So again, April current affairs, May current affairs, June, July, everything. Okay. So mainly found in the Midwestern United States. Midwestern, I think it's more of East. Midwestern US and the US interior islands. Fine. I think this is sufficient. This is sufficient information. Windstorm, I don't think expect more details question on this. Next. With reference to Pasmanda, consider the following statements. You know, when I was reading this question again, automatically to my mind came with reference to Pasmanda Muslims. I was about to say this and I just paused. So this happened with the Prime Minister Modi, so the head of the BJP. So he said, you know, we have to appease. There are several sections of the Muslim population. We should look into that also. We should appease that. We all know, right? The voting patterns that take place. So Pasmanda Muslims was there in that BJP meeting that took place. So that's why, it's from that current affairs. Now, let's look at the statements. It is used to describe the depressed classes among the Muslims. Depressed classes. Logically, we can think and that way also, because class of people not voting, the backward class, politically speaking, backward class, merge the backward class of different religions, get more votes. Like that, we can think, and this is, by the way, correct. The term was first used in 1998 by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, which is absolutely rubbish. Right? 1998 is, I think it's a giveaway. This statement is obviously wrong, and it is not by Muhammad Ali Jinnah if the year 1998 is there. I would have preferred 1948, actually made this mistake, 1947, 1946, whatever. Okay, so A is the answer, one only. Obviously, this is not Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It was actually Ali Anwar Ansari who first used this in 1998 when he found the Pasmanda Muslim Mahas. And the Pasmanda is a Persian word which means the ones left behind. So who's left behind? The depressed classes, the backward classes. Fine, simple. Coming to question number 25. With reference to the initiatives by the Government of India for startups, consider the following statements. This theme is very important for, obviously for pre-question you can see, and obviously for mains also. And when you use these facts, the initiatives of the government, obviously your answer stands out. Okay, so this is initiatives by the Government of India for startups. Now you may recall on my Telegram channel, I shared a link about the Government of India for startups, right? And there was, if you browse through this, you will get this links over here, right? And I said you read about them. So I've highlighted some of them. So those you can read. Obviously, there's so many, but you can read the main ones. This also, so you can read about them. Okay. Coming to the statements. Project Chunauti. Project Chunauti is focused on nurturing ideas and innovations into startups. Okay. Next is in the Nidhi scheme, selected startups are provided legal, intellectual property rights, and patent matters. I'll tell you what. Project Chunauti is selected. Selected startups are provided legal, IPR, patent matters because this is a challenge. Chunauti is a challenge. Nidhi is focusing on nurturing ideas and innovations into successful startups. Nidhi is something that is required at the start. Nurturing ideas, start, beginning. Like that, you can look at it. So Project Chunauti is a challenge under the Next Generation Incubation Scheme. One more scheme actually within a scheme. Selected startups are provided human resource, IP, patent matters, all those things, as well as other incubation and mentorship facilities. Statement 2 is about Nidhi, National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations. I think if we know the full form, it's very easy to attempt the statements. It is an umbrella program for nurturing ideas and innovations into successful startups. Okay. I think you should read more about them. Samrid scheme is there, which is important. Aspire is there. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana is providing finance actually. So this is very famous scheme. Chunauti is already we have covered. Digital India, Bhashani, it's Bhasha language. Genesis. Read about them, right? Read about them. This scheme is again very important. This is not exclusively for startups actually. A modified special incentive package scheme is quite there in the news. Zero defect, zero effect is for electronics manufacturing. Zero defect, zero effect. I mean, if there are more defects in manufacturing, more e-waste is getting generated. So there is this electronic manufacturing as well as the angle of e-waste, managing that is also there. Okay, next question. The word Tardigrad, the term Tardigrad, recently seen in the news, refers to. Just Google this Tardigrad, and this is there in the news almost every year. So every year, this is a microscopic multicellular organism actually. So B is the correct answer, others are wrong. So it is, So what happens is this tardigrad is a very hardy. It's a very hardy species, microorganism, microscopic organism, microanimal, which can survive in very difficult environment. Very, very difficult environment. The space agencies are looking at sending it to moon. NASA attempted it. So they sent it to the moon, the rocket crashed, and with that they also rest in peace. They didn't survive. And that's what I checked just now. Okay, so moon, the attempt is made to send them to the Venus, and I believe accidentally they went to Mars also. So we have alien species kind of in those environments. Okay, so tardigrad, hardy, it doesn't mean that way, but hardy rhymes, right? Okay. So I think the story of the moon, story of them being sent to the moon, that makes it simple. I hope so, because stories make it easier to recall. Now this tardigrad, let's say a question is asked about more details about the tardigrad. Then also we should know. Simply knowing, okay, fine, these are species that go, they can survive very hard environment, hot environment, cold environment, very extreme environments. That is fine. But sometimes we should have more layers of information. So that we are covering now. So tardigrads, known colloquially as water bears. So they are also known as water bears or moss piglets. They look like pigs. They look like pigs, not in this images, but they do look. Are a phylum of 8-legged segmented micro animal. First described by a German zoologist, August. This is the name of the person, Johann August Ephraim Goes. Okay, so meaning, and Tardigrad actually means little water bear in German. They are often found on lichens and mosses. Probably that is why they are known as moss piglets, because they are found on lichens and mosses. Lichen actually lichens. Pronunciation is lichen. Lichens is pronounced as lichen. CH is hard K. Okay. So they are found here. That is why moss piglets, because they look like pigs. This you should be able to answer. Nord Stream crosses the exclusive economic zones of which of the following countries? I wish it was only till here. Okay, Russia, Sweden, Ukraine, and Denmark. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Fine. Nord Stream, I think we have already heard about it. And of the four options, Ukraine is easy to eliminate. Ukraine is somewhere in central, southeast central Europe, somewhere there, south of Belarus. And this is the path of the Nord Stream, passing through the Nordic Sea. Okay, so Ukraine is easy to eliminate. So I was hoping if there is another country, maybe Norway or any other country, so that would have made it more spicy. Or maybe UK also. More in-depth knowledge is required to attempt that. Other than that, I think it's very simple. Nord Stream is a gas pipeline. So gas energy being supplied via the sea through Germany, right? So the question is, Nord Stream route crosses the exclusive economic zones of which of the following countries? So exclusive economic zones, obviously the region surrounding Sweden, the region surrounding these countries, Poland, Germany. So all of them will obviously, Nord Stream will pass through their exclusive economic zones. So Russia, obviously, Sweden, of course, Denmark also. Denmark is slightly north of Germany, somewhere around this region, somewhere here Denmark is located. Okay, so 1, 2, and 4. 3 is obviously out. So, even if we can do like this, and let's say we have 1, 2, so 1 and 2 is there, 4th option Denmark. This you should be aware that Denmark is located towards the northern side. It's easy actually. Question number 28. Question number 28. India is projected to surpass China as the world's most populous country in 2023, according to the World Population Prospects. Fine, so we have a report actually which was released, World Population Prospects. Which agency releases this? We should know. Next statement is, let's say we don't know for sure. Next statement, National Family Health Survey 5 2021 found that India's total fertility rate has increased in the last decade. This is obviously wrong. In fact, when I was saying the statement, automatically the word declined came while I'm speaking. Fertility means, total fertility rate is how many births a woman can give, right? So how many births a woman can give. So because of the population control measures and everything, the fertility rate is declining. So it is not increasing. No way it is increasing. In fact, we are close to the replacement levels. So replacement level is 2.2. So we are around that figure. In fact, we are very soon, or I think we are about lesser than the replacement level. Replacement fertility rate means that if less number of, if it goes below this number, then the population of the country will decline in the long term. So 2 is obviously wrong. We are left with 1. A is the answer also. So India is projected to surpass China as the world's most populous country in 2023, according to the World Population Prospects 2022. Released by UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Population Division. Very important. Even though it was not asked, it is very, very important. Coming to the next part, the total fertility rate of 2.0 for the first time. So we have achieved that, which is less than the replacement level of 2.1. I know where I read 2.2. So replacement level of 2.1 and falling from for total fertility rate of 2.2 in National Family Health. Fine, I must have made a mistake. So 2.1 is the replacement level. In the previous survey, we were at 2.2 and now we are at 2.0, right? So it is declining. And that is for all religions, right? All the groups, it is actually declining. 6 is at 1.6. I think Hindus are at 2.2, 2.3. So everything, Muslims are I think at 2.6. So they are declining. So there is significant improvement over here. So yeah, what is the answer? This is right, this is wrong. So A is the answer. Question number 29 is about Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. Fine. We will try to do this through logic, right? We will try to do this through logic over here. Okay, first statement. It will apply to factories. Obviously, it is for factories where manufacturing activity is carried out and employs more than 20 workers. Let's say we don't know this. Moving to next question, next statement. Recognition is also given to transgender rights through this code. Has to be. Otherwise it will be unconstitutional, right? It would have been a very big issue. So this is to be true. It allows women to work in all establishments except at hazardous factories. Let's say if the statement was it disallows women to work in all establishments except at hazardous factories. So that also will be unconstitutional, violation of right to equality, right? So this would have been a controversial thing. So it allows. So this is this is wrong. It allows women to work in all establishments, including hazardous factories. So this is wrong. If this thing happened, it would have been unconstitutional. Okay, so 2 is right. 2 is right. 3 is wrong. So we're left with 1 and 2. So we don't have a choice. So we have to know this one also, and this is correct. So it will apply to factories where manufacturing activity is carried out and employs more than 20 workers. It ensures gender neutrality by allowing women to work in all establishments for all types of work, which includes hazardous activities also, hazardous factories also. Fine, so the answer is 1 and 2. Now coming to question number 30. Which among the following species are associated with the development of the James Webb Space Telescope? So obviously names of 4 space agencies are given and we have to say which of them are associated with the development. Okay, so I'll state the answer right away. ISRO is not part of this. This is an initiative of NASA. In fact, James Webb was an administrator with NASA. He has worked with various space initiatives from 1961 to 68, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. So landmark initiatives of NASA. So in his remembrance or whatever, this space telescope has been named as James Webb Space Telescope. So NASA has to be there. And they have collaborated with 2 partners, that is European Space Agency and Canadian Space Agency. So the answer is 1, 3, 4. D is the answer. Now let us read more about the James Webb Space Telescope, right? If question is asked, so we should have more layer of information. So naturally, this is a space telescope. It's a space telescope. That means a satellite is launched into the space, and from there it is observing. It's a telescope. Telescope means observing, and it works within the optical spectrum. It is an optical telescope. Now, there are like two types of telescope, optical and non-optical. Obviously, if there is optical, there has to be non-optical. So optical means, let's say there is this electromagnetic spectrum. So within this, it is working within the visible spectrum. So colors that we see, the things that we see around us, it is all in the visible spectrum. Vibgyor, right? Rainbow things, the colors, all these are within the Vibgyor, right? I think you know what I'm saying. Vibgyor. And a non-optical would work in spectrum outside of the visible region. Visible also means optical, right? Optics, light, specs, optics. Okay. For example, let's say a telescope working within the microwave region. So microwave, we all know, we have microwave ovens in a house, but we cannot see those radiations, we cannot see those waves. But anyways, so they do exist. So if somebody is using that, so that will be within the non-optical spectrum or non-optical telescope. So this telescope is introduced so as to we can have better images of the space, things that are happening around us. So all that will have happening far away from us, and the things that we cannot see with the present Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble Space Telescope was launched way back. So James Webb Space Telescope is a much improved version. Okay, so it can help in observing various things like first stars, potentially habitable exoplanets, formation of the first galaxies, you name it. Okay, so we have done this, we have done this, we have done this. And we have done a bit of this also. Okay, now the question is, where is this telescope located? Right, we know it is in the space, but where in space? Is this orbiting around the sun? Is it orbiting around the earth? Where is it? Like normally we expect satellites to orbit around the earth, but this one is like in January 22, it reached the sun earth L2 Lagrange point. So it is actually not orbiting the earth, it is orbiting the sun. So this is important. It is at the L2 Lagrange point. Right, so this covers for us the James Webb Space Telescope. Now moving on to question number 31. What is the CAS9 protein that is often mentioned in the news? Okay, what is mentioned in the news is CRISPR, CAS9, capital CRISPR and CS9. And this has been there relatively new, but quite some time now, quite some years now. These are molecular scissors used in targeted gene editing. So CRISPR is the cutting thing, and CAS is guides that where the cut has to be made in the gene. So CRISPR is basically like scissor, you can imagine. It's just basically the scissor, and CAS9 guides the scissor. Right, it's an enzyme that guides the scissor where it has to cut. So it's very precise, but it's very accurate, and this will help us in lot of applications. It will have lot of applications like designing vaccines, some medication, whatever. It will have lot of applications over here, gene editing and all in. So yeah, all these are obviously wrong. It's a biosensor used in accurate detection of pathogens, a gene that makes plants pest resistant, herbicidal substance synthesized in GMO crops. All of them are obviously wrong. So this is a very easy question because all the three options are very wavered. Okay, now briefly about the CRISPR Cas9. So I think you just look at this diagram over here. So this is a DNA, and let's say this part there is some problem with this part, and this has to be rectified. Right? Maybe some in future it will lead to some disease, or in the next generation it will have some problem. So this has to be removed and replaced with the correct sequence. So using the CRISPR Cas9, we can accurately pinpoint and cut this and replace this with the desired sequence. Okay, yeah, so obviously cutting, and that cut has to be made at the right place. So it is this thing is based on a adaptation from the defense mechanism against virus of bacteria. CS9 is an enzyme using guide RNA leading to target DNA sequence. So guide RNA, messenger RNA, so they guide where the cut has to be made, where the changes have to be done. So this guide RNA helps in improved targeting. So it's very specific, very precise. So desired genetic sequence could add in repairing system of customized DNA. Now coming to question number 32. Which of the following best describes the troika of the group of G20? Okay, just before going forward, troika means three. Okay, troika, three, that's simple. Okay. So let's read the first option. The country holding the presidency together with previous and next presidency holder, right? So previous, present, and future. So every year G20 takes place. So this is the previous one, then the present one, and then the future. So from December 2022, India is the presiding over the G20, and then the previous and the future. Previous one was Indonesia, and the future one is Brazil. I think I have already told you this is the troika. Now we are left with these three options. Three permanent member countries holding veto power in decision making of G20. First of all, this is not UNSC, this is G20. They are not permanent member as such, and there is nothing like veto over here. So this is wrong. Personal representatives of head of state or head of government, but that troika thing is not coming. There are three things. So D is obviously not making sense, A and B, so that's not making sense at all. So answer is 32A. Okay. So this one is not mentioning. It says Italy was the host, so Indonesia and India, Indonesia, Italy, and India were the troika. Now, since India is the host, 1st December 2022, so Indonesia, Italy, and India. So Indonesia. Now, how I remember this for sure is Indonesia, India, and one is the Bali. This thing had taken place. So Indonesia, India, and Brazil. Why this is very significant is that for the first time, three developing countries, Indonesia, India, and Brazil, are part of the troika. So they will be setting the agenda. Right, whichever country is presiding over the G20 will set the tone, set the agenda. They are the host country. So it's the first time the developing bloc, as we can put it, developing bloc is holding the agenda for G20 for 3 years. So previous, present, future. That's why this is very, very significant. And yes, obviously India angle is always there. Question number 33. With reference to red pandas, consider the following statements. Let's see, we'll try to use logic again. They live in high altitude forest of India and China only. Let's say the statement is correct. They live in high altitude forest of India and China. Let's say this is correct. So why not Nepal? Is there any problem with Nepal or Bhutan? I mean, they also have high altitude forest, right? And this statement is obviously not making sense. Only thing is not making sense. Could be a bit of Myanmar also. I mean, Arunachal, the way it is located. So this is wrong. This is just wrong. So if you look at the map over here, this is the distribution of the red panda. So you can see, Myanmar is also there. It's very difficult. You can't, wild species don't really know the countries, right? Okay, so in all Nepal, Bhutan, and Arunachal, bit of Myanmar, and China is obviously there. They are currently listed as a vulnerable species by the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. So this is listed as endangered. Fine. So this is it. And these are obviously mammal, you can see this. And now more information. Panda, right? We call it as panda. How did this name come? So panda is actually, the term has come from Nepal term panja. In Nepal. Paja. Right. So in Sanskrit Hindi becomes panja. So panja. And from there, the English started calling them panda. Right, pronunciation issue, whatever. So Pajja becomes panda. Okay, so both statements are correct. This is endangered. Incorrect. So this had to be endangered. So this is wrong. This is wrong. So D is the answer. Next. Consider the following statements regarding Green Grids initiative. One sun, one world, one grid. Okay. This alone provides us good information. This initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid, is known as the Green Grids Initiative. This alone can be asked in the pre. Okay. Next. It was launched by India and United Kingdoms at the COP climate talks. This is correct. Okay. One more thing I would like to say is there was COP 21, Green Grids Initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid. I think solar is associated with that. So COP 21, that is the Paris climate. So this is the Glasgow, this thing. So Paris talks, Paris summit. So India and France joined together. They had launched the International Solar Association. So they had done this collectively, right? So why I'm saying this is that this is again related to the solar, and actually this is concerned with the ISA also. Okay, that's why I'm telling you this information over here. So this is COP 21 Paris Summit, very important, and it is associated with the International Solar Association. Okay, so this is again important piece of information for your pre. So one is wrong. It will reduce the need for storage and increase the viability of solar projects. Think about it. What is this? One world, one sun, one world, and one grid. Imagine the land from Europe. Imagine the map of Asia and Europe. So this thing will be collected by a grid. And at no point, there is one sun for everybody. There is one world, of course, and there will be one grid. So, when India has, let's say, dark, Europe may be having the bright side, the sun over here. So the logic is that at any point of time, certain part of this grid over here will be receiving sunlight. If sunlight is over here, there will be dark over here. But this region would need electricity. This region would need electricity. So where there is surplus electricity, that can be transported by the grid. That is the logic. Because with the solar, the problem of storage is a very difficult thing, because the sun energy, electricity will be generated only till the time the sun rays hit the solar panel. During the night, no electricity is generated. So the problem is of the storage. So the idea is that connect all these on a common grid. So from Europe to India, that is towards the Asia. So that is the idea. Okay, so this idea was first proposed by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the first assembly of the International Solar Alliance in 2018. So first proposed, but it was actually launched in the Glasgow summit. One sun, one world, one grid. And it was jointly launched by India, of course, United Kingdoms in partnership with ISA and World Bank Group. And ISA is International Solar Alliance. Okay, so it will reduce the need for storage and increase the viability of solar projects. You're promoting solar indirectly, you're promoting solar across the region. So obviously viability will increase. There'll be more demand for solar. So that will be obviously increasing. And it should reduce the need for storage because certain areas have surplus. When there is darkness in some part of the world, there is certain place is having sun rays. So they can provide the surplus electricity. That is the basic idea. Although supplying is still very difficult. Okay, so one is wrong, two is correct. The initiative outlines specific strategies to recycle solar panels. Right, so obviously solar electricity, for solar electricity, solar panels would be there. So sort of infrastructure would be created. But the solar panels have a shelf life, right? After a point of time, they will not stop working. So we'll have to replace them. Everything has a life. So logical thing is that you focus on the solar panels, waste management, solar waste policy or whatever. So something like that has to be worked upon. But this was not done. So this is one of the shortcomings. So 3 is wrong. So we left with 2 only, right? 1 is obviously wrong. So 2 only. In fact, the solar waste policy is something that we can focus from GS3 point of view in environment, science and tech, e-waste. All of this is coming under the GS3. Right, so B2 only is the answer. And I have given you a theme for mains exam also. In fact, this again can be asked in this thing, but then it will come in the GS2 because it has an element of diplomacy in it. Okay, so the concept of OSOWG, Sun Never Nets, sets develop a transnational grid that will be laid all over the globe to transport the solar power generated across the globe to different load centers. The idea is to transition of energy from fossil fuels to clean energy, the 3 transitions of energy development. Transition of, so obviously from fossil fuel to clean energy. Second is local balance to cross-border and global distribution, right? So where there is surplus, where there is shortcoming, so bridge that with the transnational grid. And third is transition from coal, oil, gas in energy consumption to electric-centric consumption. So yeah, I think 1 and 3 are very similar points. Now coming to question number 35. Consider the following statements regarding the Global Gender Gap Index 2022. Fine. So it is published by UN's Interagency Network on Women and Gender Equality? No. This is actually done by the World Economic Forum. You have to know this. I always keep saying indexes, reports, etc. You have to keep in mind which agency does that. Okay, so this is obviously wrong. So 1 is wrong. Let's eliminate this. India's score is above the global average in political empowerment dimension. India is ranked the last among all the countries in health and survival dimension. So if you don't know this, you just cannot answer this. Okay, but if you're doing the news, I think these things will be, if India is ranked last in something, obviously it should come to your notice. Okay, so this is the Global Gender Gap Index. These are the parameters on which the ranking is being done. You can see the rank, the scores, relative scores over here. Okay. And, the score towards 1 is the lowest. So you can see health and survival, we are ranked 146. There are 146 countries. So we are ranked last over here. So statement number 3 is correct. Then the statement number 2 was saying India's score is above global average in political empowerment dimension. Yeah, one indication is that it is above 0.5, right? So 1 is bad, 0 is kind of the best score. So we are at somewhere at 0.267. This is good enough indication that we are doing better. Other thing is that there are 146 countries. So half of this would be 73 into 146. So we are doing better than that. We are in the top, this thing. Right? So we're better than the average. So these 2 are correct. So yeah, 2 and 3 are correct. So C is the answer. Okay. Now what I was saying was that there are several indexes, several rankings on gender issue. So this is not the only one, right? So this is not the only one. There are many others, and we have to be mindful of that. And by the way, it is always helpful to keep these facts in, use them in answer writing and all, because this will really help you in your scores. Okay, so the World Economic Forum, this is the global gender gap. This we have done. Then there is the Gender Inequality Index. As the name of the website is written, it is done by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Right, so Gender Inequality Index is by them. And it is looking at 3 dimensions: reproductive health, empowerment, and labor markets. So these are the parameters on which it is working. These things are important for your pre, right? All this is important for your pre. Then we have Gender Parity Index released by the UNESCO, which is focusing on the education side of things. So it is comparing education attained by the males vis-a-vis the female. If obviously males are doing better in education as compared to females in various stages like primary, secondary, tertiary, so that indicates a disadvantage, right? It displays discrimination. So discrimination in education, that is the focus of Gender Parity Index. It is issued by the UNESCO, right? So we have one report from UNDP, UN, one from again UN, UNESCO. UNESCO is again education, education. Then World Economic Forum. Coming to question number 36. With reference to gravitational lensing, consider the following statements. So gravitational lensing is a phenomena. This statement, this is correct actually. Statement number 1 is wrong. It is an effect of Stephen Hawking's theory. No, it is actually Einstein. So it is of Albert Einstein. And this phenomena occurs when a large amount of matter. So basically, gravitational field leads to bending of light. So that is gravitational lensing. In fact, any lens, it leads to bending of light. Remember in school you must have studied this, light passing through this, it leads to bending. So gravitational lensing. So because of gravitational fields, especially when there are, and gravitation is very strong where there are 2 very big masses. So where there is very big, huge amount of mass, so obviously gravitational field is more, and that leads to bending of the light. So yeah, so 1 is wrong, 2 is correct, and answer is B, 2 only. Why are we talking about this? Lux Zeppelin in South Dakota is being considered as the most sensitive dark matter detector, and we can assume it is based on gravitational lensing. Obviously, that is why the entire thing is about that. Okay, and this is based, the gravitational lensing is based on the effect of Einstein's theory of general relativities. Simply put, mass bends light, right? And gravitation is because of mass. I mean, 2 objects of heavy mass, so there is gravitational field attraction between them, and that's leading to bending. Question number 37. Quite some time actually, for 2022 also it was relevant. Which of the following statements are incorrect regarding the global minimum tax deal? So it aims to ensure that big companies pay a minimum tax rate of 15% and do not avoid taxation. Yes, that is the main thing. This is correct. Okay, right. So big companies like Google, etc. So Google would say that we know that it is based in USA. It is operating in various countries. It's operating in India. But when Indian authorities go to them, they say, no, we are not operating in India. Our headquarters is somewhere else. We are in Mauritius. We know it's a US company. It's generating revenue out of India, Indian market, but they are not paying tax over here. So they are avoiding taxation. They are going to Mauritius, which is a tax haven. So they're trying to save tax. They are not even paying tax in US because US tax rates are high, India tax rates are high. So they are settled, their headquarters in Mauritius. They say we are operating from Mauritius. Everybody knows it is a US company and where it is operating. Okay, now let's look at this statements over here. So statement number 1 is correct. And the second one, let's look at this. The rate would apply to all the overseas profits of multinational firms irrespective of their global sales. So this is actually wrong. It will apply to all overseas profits, that's fine, but irrespective of the global sales, this thing is wrong, right? So answer is A, but I'll show you the evidence. So the global minimum tax rate would apply to overseas profits of multinational firms with 750 million euros or $868 in sales globally. So there is a limit that if it goes beyond this, those companies will. So it's basically the focus is on the big companies, right? So focus is on big companies over here with a limit on the sales. So it has to go beyond a certain limit. So 37, the answer is A, one only. Question number 38. With reference to monkeypox, consider the following statements. Okay, first of all, monkeypox. Now, we have smallpox, we have chickenpox, and all of them are diseases associated with virus. Okay, so this was one hint. And now let's read the question statements. It is a viral zoonotic disease. So this could have been mentioned as bacterial. This thing. So it's a viral zoonotic disease. It's associated with monkey. Monkey is animals. Zoo is associated with zoology. Zoo. So animal disease. Occurs primarily in tropical rainforest areas of Central and West Africa. Right. So this is correct. It is a viral zoonotic disease primarily in tropical rainforest of Central and West Africa. Okay. Human to human transmission does not occur. Now, these things you should be aware, like with COVID and many other diseases were in news, and there was concern about this. Why? Because human to human transmission can occur. Right, so this is wrong, this is correct. The first case of monkeypox was reported in 1958 in humans. Is there a way of doing this without, let's see, 2 is wrong, so 2 is wrong, 1 and 3 you have to know there is no way of doing this, but this is very nerdy type of question, right? You have to really go deep into this. So the first time it was reported, monkeypox first case was reported in 1958 and in humans in 1970. And a major outbreak took place in 2017. Then in previous year also monkeypox was in news. Okay, so answer is 1 only. This is wrong. 39. Which of the following countries are members of I2U2 grouping recently seen in the news? This is very easy if you look at the options. So, I2, so 2 I's, 2 U. These are the initials of the countries. So, obviously, there are only 2 I's over here. So, India and Israel. Australia is not starting with U, Japan not starting with U, right? So these 2 are out. So 1 and 2 is the answer. Now let us know more about the I2U2. So I2U2 is basically an initiative started, it's associated with the Abraham Accords actually, which is US-led initiative. US wants peace in the West Asia region. In West Asia countries keep fighting amongst themselves. They have bad relations, particularly Israel and the Arabic countries. So they are not rivals, right? So initially it was US Abraham Accords, US, Israel, and it starts with the UAE. So that's how it starts. Then they say India is one country which has good relations with Israel, UAE. Why not have India? So Indo-Abrahamic Alliance or the I2U2 group. Fine. So I2, India, Israel, UAE, US. Fine. So the other 2 U's are UAE. UAE is a more liberal bloc in the Arabic countries. So they're like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. So many other countries are there Arabic speaking. So within this, UAE is a bit of a liberal. So starting with them, then maybe more, opening of ties between Israel and other countries can take place. So this can lead to pave way for peace. US. Question number 40. With reference to the Asiatic black bear, consider the following statements. Okay. The Asiatic black bear is a herbivorous in nature. It's actually omnivorous. And yeah. So yeah, this is omnivorous. This is the black bear. You can see Asiatic black bear. They are arboreal. They have an arboreal lifestyle. Arboreal means associated with the trees. So yeah, they are omnivorous, and they are found in. It lives in the Himalayas, southeastern Iran, the northern parts of Indian subcontinent, Korean peninsula, China, the Russian Far East, etc. Right. So till Japan it is found. So they are spread across Asia from the Himalayas to the Russian Far East. You know what is happening? Why I didn't do the statement? Suddenly I had a doubt because I have seen the Asiatic black bear actually in Agra region also. So I got confused with the Himalayas. So Himalayas to Russian Far East saying. So it's like this indicating, telling me like this that it is from here to here. So this got me a bit confused. Anyways, where I've taken this is marked as correct. So 1 is wrong, 2 is there, and then we have 3. It is marked as a vulnerable species. So this is they have been categorized as endangered. So this is wrong. So the answer could be 2 only. It could be none of the above. But going by the statement mentioned over here, the 2 only will be more appropriate. Right? So 40, the answer is B, 2 only. Okay, students. So I have covered 40 questions, and most of the current affairs for July 2022 is covered. There were few things that I have not been able to cover. I will do this in the next month's current affairs. Very few things are there, but I still wanted to cover this. It's just that the length of the video is getting a bit long, and I think that the next month's current affair also will have repetitive things, so we can manage that. Right, I have that prepared, but for the time being, I'm limiting myself to the 40 questions. So I hope you like it. Please do share your feedback on the Telegram channel, and I'll share the file also with you on my Telegram channel, that is IASPrimers. The link will be there in the description box. So all the best for your preparation. Bye-bye.